you could say, change the research agenda for cancer patients into an agenda that really benefits cancer patients. But and in the end, after many years of research, we now know that physically intense exercises is good for rehabilitation. Quite often I mention that awareness is kind of an overarching activity. We need awareness as a kind of an engine for prevention. Overweight is bad for health. Doing no exercise is bad for health. Alcohol is bad for health. And it's not that you don't do any of these things, but you have to be aware of your lifestyle. I still swim, not that much, but once a week I swim.
Okay.
I bike 3 times a week. I run 3 times a week. I go 3 times a week to the gym. So at least 1 time a day I do for 1 hour some exercises. But I'm 65 years old now. Like I said, I quit smoking in 1984, and it was enormous. But also stop eating meat. That was really a change in my quality of life. Well, if there are of course some days that I am not able to do my exercises, but it has an immediate effect on my mental health.
Oh, wow.
So the next day I think, okay, let's do some running, or let's do some biking, and now it's winter here in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's too cold to bike. Well, then I go, instead of 3 times, I go 4 or 5 times to the gym.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Precision Pulse. This is your host, Amit Jain. I'm a life science professional by training and awareness enthusiast by heart. Today's episode is deeply human conversation. We often talk about fighting cancer, but what if we talk about living with it, living well, and even living happily? My guest today is Peter Kapitein, a patient advocate, an author, and a global connector, and someone who has lived with cancer for more than a decade. Peter brings a powerful perspective on what it means to building a meaningful, healthy life in harmony with cancer, not defined by fear, but guided by purpose, connection, and choice. This episode is not about denial or false optimism. It's about reframing life, honoring reality, and still choosing joy, well-being, and impact. Let's pulse into it. Peter, welcome to Precision Pulse. We are very excited to have you here.
Hello, Amit. Thank you for having me, and I'm glad to go into conversation with you.
Peter, could you share a bit about your early life and what you are currently focused on?
Yes, well, I'm educated as a librarian. That's reflected by the background of what you can see. But immediately after starting working as a librarian, I also started working in the IT. And in the end, I was responsible for the business at the financial institution, for the IT support. And then suddenly my phone rang and my general practitioner gave me a call. And he said, yeah, you had your checks on cholesterol yesterday, and there are some worrying blood counts. And he mentioned the word leukocytes, and at that moment I knew nothing about cancer. But immediately I thought, leukocytes, leukemia. And I asked him, do I have leukemia? And he said, well, of course we cannot tell you, but it looks very worrying, and well, we would ask you to go to the hospital. And I said, when do you want me to go? It was Friday afternoon, 5 o'clock. He said, well, to be honest, I want you to go now and not wait for Monday. So literally 1 hour later, at 6 o'clock in the evening, I was in the hospital for a check. And again, my blood count for the leukocytes was sky high, around 40, where between 7 and 12, 13 is normal. So I was asked to come back the next morning to have another check on Saturday morning, and again around 40. And that was the moment I was referred to the Amsterdam Medical Center. And within 24 hours, I was diagnosed with a lymphoma. And to be the best account manager of the Western Hemisphere was worth nothing at all at that moment. My life completely changed from a let's say a successful account manager in IT. Within 24 hours, you could say even within a split second, I turned into a patient with a follicular lymphoma, so not leukemia, but it appeared to be a follicular lymphoma.
I'm pretty sure it would be hard to accept suddenly change in your life.
Yeah, well, basically there is nothing to accept. It's simply a fact, you see. But the moment the physician tells you you have a lymphoma, you look back and you think, well, she's talking to someone behind me, which was not the case. I was preparing myself for a long distance triathlon, so I was running for 100 kilometers a week. I was biking for 400 or 500 kilometers a week. I was swimming for 15 kilometers a week. So I had an enormous good physical condition and cancer, which is weird. I can remember the next day on Sunday morning, my wife went running and she said, "Are you joining me?" And I said, well, yeah, let's do that. And I was running 10, 11 kilometers an hour, where normally during a workout I ran for 13, 14, 15 kilometers an hour. And I thought, my gosh, yeah, I have cancer and I'm so strong. But so it didn't fit into my brain. But of course, you know one thing for sure. My physician told me, she has to prove you are a cancer patient and you have to learn to live with that.
Yeah. So what are you still working at the bank or
At that moment, I was still working at an IT company, but I knew one thing for sure: having a lymphoma, being treated with chemotherapy and all the things that came after, which I didn't know, but came after. I had to go away from that company because I was probably after 1 year or 2 years, I got fired. And well, I have a wife and 2 sons. And I had the opportunity to return to the Central Bank of the Netherlands.
Okay.
So I started working there in 1985. I left the company in 1998, and I had the opportunity to return to the Central Bank of the Netherlands, which was kind of a safe haven. And I continued working. I can remember that my manager, at a certain moment after 1 year, said, "Well, with all your cancer treatments, your days off because of your disease are lower than the average of the company."
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that's very inspiring. And then you became patient advocate and then started Inspire2Live. Yeah.
Well, you can say that yes, I became a patient advocate, but in 2006, when I had my first activities around that, the word patient advocate didn't exist.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started to become an activist and step up for patients' rights, so to say. But the first activities basically that I explored was not even stand up for patients' rights, but was working with researchers and physicians, building projects that have added value for cancer patients. And
Sure.
the first project that we designed and that we started was a project for physical rehabilitation for cancer patients.
Wow. Very, very inspiring, Peter. What first triggered you to become a patient advocate and start Inspire2Live?
Well, we had a crazy idea to raise funds for cancer research. And that appeared to become a huge success. But the first year, in 2006, of that edition, we raised 350,000 euros, which we thought was an enormous amount of money. We transferred the money to the Dutch Cancer Organization, and the general manager of the Dutch Cancer Organization said to me, "Why don't you come up with an idea to spend the money on?"
Okay.
And I thought that was completely normal. You raise some money and you can say, "Hey, I'd like to spend it on that topic, etc." So I contacted a researcher and physician, and after 2 or 3 weeks, I was sitting at a table with 2 researchers, 1 physician, and you could say, brainstorming what is important for cancer patients. Thousands things, of course, are important for cancer patients when you only have 350,000 euros. Through brainstorming and fatigue, we decided to spend it on cancer rehabilitation. Because at that moment, I'm talking 2006, there was nothing that we knew about how to rehabilitate cancer patients during or after treatments. So that basically triggered me to become a patient advocate. Yeah, you could say change the research agenda for cancer patients into an agenda that really benefits cancer patients. Because the second topic that we decided to spend our money on wasn't the physical part of being a cancer patient, but the mental part of being a cancer patient. So we started a chair at the Free University of Amsterdam that studied living together with cancer. And the third project we initiated was about cancer and nutrition. What is important to eat when you're a cancer patient? So it was not about prevention at that moment, but it was basically, I am a cancer patient. What should I do to get into a good mental state, a good physical state, and also in a good state because of the nutrition that I need?
So should we assume that this was something missing for the cancer patient that made your advocacy necessary for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I was preparing for a long distance triathlon, and there was nothing known about rehabilitation of
Yeah.
cancer patients. So I did it myself, not based on science, but simply I thought, okay, well, I had done a couple of long distance triathlons, and how do I recover from long distance triathlons? Well, normally the day after, I again stepped on my bike with a lot of clothes, a lot of water, drinking, and take care of a heartbeat not that high, but a lot of sweating, and get rid of all the lactate, etc. And that was basically what I did for cancer rehabilitation. But and in the end, after many years of research, we now know that physically intense exercises is good for rehabilitation. So relatively intense exercise. So for me, being a triathlete, I had to do more exercise, more intense exercises than someone with a very bad physical condition. But still, also the person with a bad physical condition needs to do relatively intense exercises to rehabilitate. So do your exercises and rest. That's the combination, basically. Exercise, rest, exercise, rest.
Yeah.
And also on nutrition, there was almost nothing known. Yeah, you have to eat good, but we didn't know what
is good?
define good.
Sure.
And also the mental health, there was no real attention to mental health of cancer patients, and there was absolutely 100% no attention for the mental health of the partners of cancer patients.
Yeah.
I had many experience when I asked the partner of a cancer patient, how are you doing? One simple question, how are you doing? And then she or he started crying because she answered, nobody is asking me how I'm doing.
Yeah.
But that's basically what I saw. My wife, my two sons, my sons were pretty young, 9 and 6 years old when I was diagnosed with a lymphoma. But my wife, well, yeah, it didn't show, but basically she lived in fear. And it's not that you can take away the fear completely, but at least you have to be aware of that and then take care of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you lived it. And we've been talking to other cancer patient caregivers. It's a very similar experience. Now, with the education and awareness, things are changing, but not to the level which can really make a big change. But things are moving in the right direction, we'll say that.
Yes.
You often talk about awareness, that awareness is a big thing. And we have awareness as one of the core group within Inspire to Live. In your experience, how does awareness actually change the day-to-day life of cancer patients and survivors?
Yeah, well, within our organization, Inspire2Live, we work on prevention, we work on early detection, on access to treatments and palliative care. And quite often I mention that awareness is kind of an overarching activity. We need awareness as a kind of an engine for prevention. Be aware what a lifestyle can make a difference. If we all know that smoking is bad for health, but there are a lot of other things bad for health.
Yeah.
And overweight is bad for health. Doing no exercise is bad for health. Alcohol is bad for health. And it's not that you don't do any of these things, but you have to be aware of your lifestyle. Is it healthy enough to stay fit, or am I in danger? The same is for early detection. If you don't know your body, and if you don't feel the changes in your body, you are probably being diagnosed in a late stage when you get cancer. Being diagnosed in a late stage means that the chances of survival are decreasing.
Yeah.
The same counts for access to treatments. In many countries, a lot of medicines are not available, but in many countries, and that was my experience when we became a global organization, government don't prioritize cancer as an important disease. Once a person from Kenya said, in my country, that was 2020, cancer is not a problem. Of course, there were a lot of cancer patients in Kenya, but it was not a problem according to the government. Wow. This morning, I was happily surprised that the Kenyan government changed the 2-dose policy into a 1-dose policy for HPV vaccination.
Oh,
which is good news. And I asked two things. And I asked two things. Not only did one of our advocates a lot of work in changing the 2-dose into a 1-dose, because it's very important. It's cheaper. 1-dose is cheaper, but also from a logical perspective. I live in Amsterdam. It's quite easy to get a vaccine.
Yeah.
If I bike for 2 kilometers, I have a facility where I can get a vaccine. But in a lot of countries, people, not patients because they are not cancer patients, but people have to travel for 1 day, 2 days, sometimes even more to get a vaccine. So then 1-dose is very, very, very healthy. And then, of course, my question was, and is this 1-dose policy implemented?
Yeah.
Because you can have a brilliant policy, but if it's not implemented, what's the use of a policy? Yeah. And the good news was, yes, it is implemented. So awareness is kind of an engine or an energy source for patient advocates to do the right thing. And do the right thing depends on what it is. Is it prevention? Is it early detection, access to treatments, or palliative care?
I agree. And I totally connect with you, Peter, on this, because the reason we started our podcast, Precision Pulse, is because we want to create an awareness around different topics which could impact your quality of life in a positive way. And while working in the healthcare industry, I realized that there are so many areas where there are gaps, which are either informational or educational or implementational gaps, which triggered us to think about, okay, what can we do? And we need a platform where we can openly, directly communicate with the. And I'm very happy that we are talking to you. You did mention about the lifestyle practices. You did mention physical activity, aggressive, intense physical activity. Even if you're a cancer patient, it's very good for you. You talked about diet as well. Any other specific lifestyle practices help you stay physically, mentally, and emotionally well, in your case or in general, what you have seen it?
I heard a beautiful example about how easy it is to have to do good physical exercise. Many years ago, it was thought to be by a man of 92 years old, and he kept himself in good shape by buying every day a newspaper at a booth 2.5 kilometers away from his
Wow.
house. He said, and I don't want a subscription because then it's brought to my house.
Yeah.
And now I have to walk 2.5 kilometers, buy it, have a nice chat, and walk back. So 92 years old, and he did it for many years, but 92 years old, each day he walked for 5 kilometers. And I said, but okay, but on Sundays there is no newspaper. He said, no, 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 no. But I still go to the booth. And when I arrive, I said, oh gosh, yes, it's Sunday. No, but it's a good example how easy it is to do exercise.
Yeah.
And walking is an enormous good exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like looking at food. I became a vegetarian in 2010. It was the most easiest decision I made in changing my lifestyle. It's really good. It tastes well, etc. It was a much easier decision than in 1984 when I had to quit smoking. I smoked a lot. I was 24 years old. I smoked around 50 or 60 cigarettes a day. So I was really addicted and very unhealthy. That took at least a week. But it is doable when you quit smoking or and change your social environment.
Yeah.
And that was exactly what happened in my situation. I graduated, I started working, and it was not that in my work there were no people who smoke, but way less than normally in my life.
Yeah.
I started to become a triathlete. That also helps. You cannot be a triathlete when you smoke.
Sure.
So if there is a possibility to change your social life in combination with an you could say kind of an interrupt in your lifestyle, whether it's smoking or alcohol or healthy food, that helps enormously.
Yeah.
It helps enormously.
Yeah. No, I agree totally.
And tell it to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Hey, I quit smoking. Hey, I stopped drinking. Hey, I eat healthy food. Because if you tell it to dozens of other people and they see you go every day to say, is that healthy? You see, so you create your own feeling of shame when you don't act upon your own promises.
But that's human nature, Peter. That's what how people think. You mentioned about adopting some of the lifestyle practices for yourself, nutritious food. You're doing physical activity. Are you still biking or doing the swimming as well?
Oh yeah,
Maintain your
yeah,
lifestyle.
yeah. I still swim, not that much, but once a week I swim.
Okay.
I bike 3 times a week. I run 3 times a week. I go 3 times a week to the gym. So
Okay.
at least one time a day, I do for 1 hour some exercises. But I'm 65 years old now, so the level of my activities is a little bit lower than 20 years ago. But I still do it, and I like it. I like it.
You like it. And have you seen changes in your quality of life since adopting these practices?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Like I said,
So,
I quit smoking in 1984, and it was enormous. But also stopped eating meat. That was really a change in my quality of life. And well, if there are, of course, some days that I am not able to do my exercises, but it has an immediate effect on my mental health.
oh
So
wow.
the next day I think, okay, let's do some running or let's do some biking, and now it's winter here in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's too cold to bike. Well, then I go, instead of 3 times, I go 4 or 5 times to the
Yeah.
gym. So I take
Yeah.
care of at least 1 hour a day.
This is very good, Peter. And this is so good that you are still maintaining it at 65 because I've seen people who are in their 50s or late 40s
Yeah,
and they don't believe it. At least we can tell them that they should
yeah.
start a workout. Recently, I joined boxing, not for
Okay.
not for the professional, but just as a workout. 45 minutes a day, and I try
Yeah,
to do it every day. And it's so intense that I sweat out a lot. And at the end of my workout, I feel so good. I feel so good.
yeah, yeah,
It makes my day every day, and so I make a
yeah,
ritual. Again, it's something which I totally agree and totally connect with you, Peter, that you need to do physical activity. And when you start doing physical activity, that means you are catering to your body. You will stop eating junk food. You will stop eating
yeah,
negative,
yeah,
like
yeah.
unhealthy food. So that brings to my another question about changing to a vegetarian diet. Was there any specific reason to give away non-vegetarian food and adopting vegetarian diet?
Yeah, I was reading the book Eating Animals by Jonathan Safran Foer. And so if people have any doubts in eating animals, read that book. Halfway the book, I stopped eating animals. And basically there are 3 reasons for not eating animals. I think the things we do to animals are horrifying. Most meat that we eat is very unhealthy, and full of antibiotics. And it's also very good for the climate not to eat animals, or at least eat less
Yeah.
animals. So for me, there are 3 reasons not to do it. And like I said, it was July 2010. I simply stopped eating animals.
Yeah.
And the next day I thought, hey, I'm a vegetarian. And it was quite easy. There was no problem at all. No problem at all. No.
Yeah. What I hear people talking about, hey, you need to eat meat because it gives you good amount of protein. Like,
Yeah.
do you think like eating vegetarian food will give you enough protein and fiber?
Absolutely. Well, how do you think that these proteins come into these cows? That's because a cow eats vegetarian.
They build the
So
protein. Yeah.
in plants there is a lot of lot of protein, and we now know that we eat too much proteins.
Sure.
So vegetarian plant-based diet has enough proteins in it.
Protein. Yeah. No. Thank you, Peter. I wanted to discuss this because it's very important to create an awareness around it.
Yeah,
Because sometimes people want to change their diet preference, but it's challenging. But again, you need to have determination to, and then things will come to you, right?
yeah,
things will happen. So now we are transitioning into rapid fire round. So my first question is one daily habit that
yeah.
protects your happiness.
Oh, wonderful. Start my day with sports.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes me happy. But when I bike along the river here I live in Amsterdam, so along the river Amstel, that makes me happy and makes me smile.
Yeah. I will do it with you when we are in our meeting. And the other question is movement, rest, or connection. Which matters most for you right now?
Yeah, that's a difficult one, but if I have to choose, I should say movement.
Movement.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, Morning or evening? When do you reset yourself?
I'm a morning person. I wake up at 5, and
Yeah.
so in the morning I'm alone. My wife wakes up at 7:30, so the first 2 do my sport. I learn French.
Oh, wow.
Um, it's good. It's also good for your mental health to learn another language.
Yeah. Okay.
And I really like the French language. So now for 2.5 years, so I start talking French pretty good.
Hmm.
And after 2.5 hours, it's 7:30, and then I start working 7. Sometimes I wake up a little late later, but
Sure.
around 7:38 I start working, and since I work at Inspire2Live, so when I wake up at 5, a lot of countries are already awake.
Awake.
So yeah, that makes me happy.
Yeah. Thank you. What did cancer teach you faster than life otherwise would have?
The necessity of looking to the other. Until I got the diagnosis of cancer, I was pretty much living on my own.
On your own, okay.
And I thought, maybe not literally, but basically I was a pretty selfish, egocentric person. And when you are diagnosed, it's not only cancer, but something really important and serious happens into your life, you become aware of what I call in philosophical terms, the other.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that makes you laugh easily.
Laugh easily.
Yeah.
Being on a holiday with my wife.
Ah.
And this morning, when suddenly for 1.5 hours, our grandson was with us.
Oh. So spending time with family, definitely grandkids are
And
sharing the time.
I'm not good enough at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think because I grow older, I start learning it.
Sure. What is your go-to reset? Is it coffee, tea, walk, or a quiet time?
Having a coffee with a piece of black chocolate and reading a book in the evening.
Finish the sentence. With cancer, life is
worth living.
Worth living. Thank you. Where can our viewers or listeners find you?
Within my organization, Inspire2Live, doing things that are necessary and for cancer patients and that are benefiting cancer patients. And when they find me, I hope they were very critical and say, hey, we think you do not do enough. No,
Well,
because
Peter,
we can always do better, you see.
yes.
Since we are a global organization, I know pretty good how to do good for cancer patients in the Netherlands, and probably is the same in Belgium and Germany, France, UK, more or less.
Yeah.
But I learned so much from talking to people in Kenya or Senegal or Gabon or India, China, Argentina. Well, all these countries where we have very good patient advocates who know the local situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Peter. This is very helpful and very educational. I really appreciate you spending time with us and having a conversation around your personal life, your experience with cancer, and how you made your life mission to help others as well. This doesn't happen very often. One of the good thing it really touched me when you started thinking about how can you help others. That made you become the patient advocate. That made you communicate your voice to the other and started Inspire2Live, which is making impact in everyday life in global scale. So this is very, very commendable and very, very respectful work, in my opinion.
What I learned, what I experienced is maybe a better word, is what basically the fundamental question is, when are you doing good? Yeah, so in the end of your life, you want to say, I did the right thing and I did good.
Yeah.
And what I experienced in life is that you're doing good when you contribute to other people and when you contribute to society.
Yeah.
And that can be done in many ways. I think I do it for cancer patients, but you can do it for a lot of things. It's not just in the business where we are working in, Amit, but you're doing good when you contribute to the other person and when you contribute to society. That's basically my definition of doing good.
Thank you. That concludes our discussion today. What we have seen today after talking with Peter is how he changed his life mission from caring himself to caring of others, how he's maintaining his quality of life by adopting some of the precision lifestyle practices, which is keeping him going, which is keeping his quality of life at a very high level and adding to his longevity. So, which is a really good learning experience for us. And we want to make sure we create awareness around these so that we can make impact not in our life, not in our inner circle, not in our secondary circle. We should have spread this awareness all across the global location. We do have platform. If we don't have platform, we can create our own. Peter has shown us this working very effectively. With this, we close today's episode. One thing is very clear. Health is not just about eliminating disease. It's about expanding life. Peter reminds us that even in the presence of cancer, we still have choices. How we relate our bodies, how we protect our joy, how we connect with others, and how we create meaningful every single day. Living in harmony with cancer does not mean giving up. It means living consciously, courageously, and compassionately towards ourselves and those around us. I encourage you to reflect to one small step you can take this week. There's a lot of learning from today's episode. Physical activities, diet, think about others. That will help towards well-being, towards connection, and towards purpose. Thank you once again for listening to Precision Pulse. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with someone who may need it. And join us again as we continue exploring how precision thinking can elevate everyday life. And please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe to our contents. Until next time, stay present, stay connected, and keep pulsing forward. Thank you.